All right, highlight for today, Fed Day. Powell, not Fed Day FOMC, but Powell was on the Hill and giving and doing his semi-annual congressional testimony. And it generally creates maybe a move or two and then some chop. And then after the Q&A, it could rally or break and have a good clean move after. Now, something interesting happened during it, and this is what you got to be prepared for, is even if it's a little late, you have to understand how to digest headlines. So we had a perfect storm of headlines that came down the wire right here at about 38 minutes after 9 Central. State of Texas reported another high in COVID-19 hospitalizations. That's what the market's been watching, not liking it. The same time, the state of Florida had jumped their day over day COVID-19 cases by 3.6%. Now, that number in and of itself doesn't mean anything. The fact that it's a point and a tenth, 1.1 above the 7-day moving average of 2.5, and the fact that it came in around 2% yesterday, the market is watching and is sensitive to a second wave potential in coronavirus cases. Now, I think it treats the economy and unemployment and economic numbers in the Fed, because yesterday we had that announcement by the Fed in the middle of the day and it repriced us to the upside. But they're still have an eye on a second wave. Now, in the same couple minutes, Beijing says the government raised their COVID-19 emergency response from level 2 to 3. So these three things came within the 2 minutes, and we had a pretty aggressive sell-off that if you weren't staying out of the long side, you weren't trading the proper. Let me reset this chart here. If you weren't understanding why we sold off aggressively in here in a very timely fashion, well, then you shouldn't be trading. You got to be able to take this information to understand what it tells us in the short term, in the medium term, and the long term. What we had said is we knew about this up in here and said you got to stay out the long side and be very cautious if you're going to buy it, because this market's pretty damn bearish. You played from the short side, look for areas of potential resistance, and then we have a tool called the puke tool, where we see, in this case, shorts puke. When you're short, you want to be short with less people, less shorts. But let me just roll through this. Another thing I said was, be careful buying it until we get some sort of V-shape crooked W. What does that mean? Well, where you can get a moment where shorts who have been comfortable from the entire sell-off to say, oh, boy, why did I hold on that long? And they see their profits diminish, or some get stuck in the hole, and you finally get them mad. And you didn't get that until, watch this roll, until you kind of get a V-shaped pop. Let me roll this forward. Right in here, just after 10 Central, you got the first and best rally in there. And you got to know that during the rally, that it's the best bounce from all this selling that we had because of those COVID-19 announcements from Texas, Florida, and Beijing. The market's paying attention. Now, it's important to know this because, number one, whether it's a sell-off or any other reason, the first moment you get this, when I say crooked W, you can kind of see it like this. But it's important to know what could drive us. So if you're watching this real time, it's relevant to know that tomorrow and the day after, when Texas and Florida reports, will go up if it's a lower number, higher. We'll go up price-wise if it's a lower COVID-19 number, and vice versa. They're sensitive to these numbers. Out of Beijing, Texas, and Florida have been the two, states that have had the market's been paying attention mostly to, and we told you about this late last week. And they report around the same hour. Usually they came out a little earlier today, it seemed. But this was the first moment, like in here, where you've seen some decent resistance get taken out in there. That's why it became subsequent support. But the best rally and bounce from here. And when you get that, you have the best chance to have shorts that start looking like this. And they get that stupid look on their face and grapefruit eyes. They were all happy and smug on the way down, but because they're so damn greedy, they never get out, and then they get in late, and then you get another class of people get in late, and there's always the late traders, and there's always the greedy late shorts and greedy shorts. Same thing with longs, but in this case, shorts, right? So you get them to look like this, and we've all looked like that. You just want to look like that less and less. Now, Powell is still speaking in the Q&A version, or the Q&A segment of his testimony. He'll give the same testimony with different questions tomorrow, but today was usually the one that could be market moving. He wasn't that bearish at all, and we rallied, and I think we would have been sideways closer to where we started until after his Q&A, but because of those comments about COVID-19, or not comments, but headlines with higher cases in Florida, higher hospitalizations in Texas, and level 2 to 3 emergency response in Beijing. I'm not sure how much you can trust Beijing, though. I really think that they're going to lie on both ends. They were they weren't as anxious or nervous as they publicly at the beginning when they should have been, and now they're overly cautious and very public on how bad things are when they probably shouldn't be. That's the way I read it. Either way, the market's going to give you the best information, not the news. So if the market's reacting, it's important until it's not. Keep your eye on that in the near term and understand in a real weak downtrend, you have to have a moment on a chart where the shorts get nervous.